Two women have appeared in courts in Leicester today, charged with stalking the family of Madeleine McCann.
German authorities are racing against the clock to charge Bruckner because he's actually behind bars for the rape of a woman at the same Portuguese resort that McCann disappeared from back in 2007, and now he's seeking an early release deal.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. As some of you may know, I've written 5 books on the McCann case, and I've maintained from the beginning that there are not going to be charges against Bruckner in terms of Madeleine McCann, and there hasn't even been an arrest, even though this has been kind of going on for 4 years. There have been a lot of people that have been expecting him to go to trial and expecting charges and all of this sort of thing, like for it to be imminent, that's going to happen at any moment. Well, now we've come to the end game in that entire process. Before we get to the rest of this analysis, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. By the way, I'm going to be dealing with the McCann case in more detail over the course of this month. Bear in mind, May 3rd, which is about a month away, is the 18-year anniversary of that case. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please hit the thanks button and let's get started. Bruckner could be walking free within 2 weeks. That was a headline from a week ago, so there's really 1 week left to charge Bruckner. It's now or never. Do you think it's going to happen? German prosecutors are reportedly seeking to charge the prime suspect in the Madeleine McCann case before he is released early from jail for, as you've heard, raping a pensioner at the resort where Madeleine disappeared. And that is reporting from The Sun.
A major blow in the 18-year-long Madeleine McCann cold case, with the prime suspect unlikely to be charged for the foreseeable future.
Exactly. He has just faced charges and been acquitted on all of them, and so that was the best opportunity to charge him on the whole Madeleine McCann thing if you were going to. Frankly, I've been really surprised at the German prosecutors smearing Bruckner with the whole Madeleine McCann thing while he was on trial, and I do think it was done deliberately to influence the German court. To the court's credit, they weren't influenced by all of that. Now, the crazy thing, when this story first made headlines about a week ago, you literally had simultaneous headlines from the British media, one saying, "Rush to charge Bruckner," and at the same time, German prosecutors saying they aren't going to charge him. At the same time. Now, I mean, a real story would be cops charge Madeleine McCann suspect. In other words, something has happened and then there's a result, not going to thinking about or whatever. So I'm not sure what rush there's been when there have already been charges and Bruckner was not charged regarding Madeleine's disappearance. And as I've said, I don't think he ever will be. And as I said, there was a trial in which he beat all the charges that were against him. And those charges, in my opinion, are a lot stronger than the charges regarding linking him to Madeleine McCann. There's just no evidence linking him. He was just the right-looking felon in the wrong at the right place at the right time, I guess one could say. So literally what's going on is he's coming to the end of a sentence. They try to bring other charges against him, fail to do so, and now it's, oh, are you really going to try and charge him with the whole Madeleine McCann case? And I would welcome that whole process. Let's hear what the German police have. I just really doubt it's going to happen. Now, Bruckner was formally identified as a suspect around about 4 years ago now, but so was Robert Murat, the 34-year-old British-Portuguese property consultant. He was identified as a suspect from the get-go. Also, so were Jerry and Kate McCann. Just because you're named as a suspect in this case especially doesn't necessarily mean anything, just as we've seen in the Ramsey case. And if you don't have charges in 18 years, and if Bruckner is in custody and identified as a suspect, but not charged in 3 to 4 years, while other charges are made, taken to trial, tested and lost, well then you ought to know the case for him being Madeleine McCann's abductor is very thin indeed. Now, the biggest issue, I think, with Bruckner, which one ought to see from a mile away, is, well, let me put the ball in your court. Because people have come to me who don't know the case very well, and I think that's the bottom line. People have come to me and said they found him, the case is solved. And then I've said, well, let's see what happens if it's so simple. And of course, nothing has happened. Month after month, year after year, nothing really happens. And so what is the biggest issue with Bruckner? Any ideas? Before I give the answer, any ideas what the biggest issue is with Bruckner? Because if you know this case well, you ought to see it a mile away. And I mean, it's beyond, there's no evidence linking him to the crime, right? What is the biggest issue with Bruckner? Well, it's that Bruckner doesn't match the description from the Smith family, the description that Smith family provided to law enforcement, right? Somebody else does match that description. Whoopsie. I mean, have a look at this headline. I don't recognize Maddie suspect. There's also this. Key Irish Maddie witness does not recognize new suspect. You'd think that would matter, right? So I think you're going to see in the following week there are not going to be charges against Bruckner. As I say, I welcome there to be charges, but I don't think anything's going to happen. It's not going to go to court. He's not going to be found guilty. I predict, though, that there won't be any charges, and the prosecutors have said something along the lines that they don't have any plans to charge Bruckner. And this is after years, really, of pontificating and posturing in front of the media, kind of almost suggesting that they've got this big case against him. Well, now the proof is in the pudding. Are you going to charge him, yes or no?
German prosecutors have made the admission just months before Christian Bruckner is set to be released from prison.
A convicted pedophile and rapist, and in the minds of German prosecutors, the prime suspect in Madeleine McCann's disappearance. But hopes of charges ever being laid have been dealt a blow. German prosecutors conceding there's currently no prospect of an indictment in the Maddie case.
Now, no, the Australian media are quite obsessed with this case and have definitely sort of been gagging at the prospect of an arrest, only to find, well, we are where we are. And I mean, think about it. In the Ramsey case, you even at least got to that point where there were multiple indictments, not signed, but at least one got to that particular point. Now, I'm not going to take it further than that, certainly in terms of this analysis, but we will be watching the news for more developments. I will be taking further the whole Madeleine McCann case, how it is dealt with in the Netflix docuseries. I'll be doing a similar analysis to what we did with the Ramsey case, but with one subtle difference. We're going to be looking at the McCann case, in a sense, through the prism of the Ramsey case. And so I guess one question is, what is the ransom note in the McCann case? Any ideas? Thank you for listening. I hope you've had a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.